Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another solicitation station for the DC Comics. And I know I've been a bit behind in these, but at least it's really nice to try to get ahead. And this is for episode 22. And the next one will be episode 23. So let's get things organized for the first one that will be covered. And that is for episode 34, which we see on the left hand side. And of course with this we've got the Dawn of DC Titans, headed by Tom Taylor. But is it as good as the Mark Waid Titans? I will certainly give you my thoughts in this. And of course moving into the Flash and Wonder Woman 800 according to DC. So, as we jump into the first one for the DC Connect of issue 34, we have Tom Taylor with Nicola Scott working on the art, working on the Titans run. And I must admit that the first couple of issues have been a bit of a bore, much like his Nightwing run. So we move into what's planned inside and what to expect. Of course, plenty of Batman. And of course, the graphic novels to the collected editions and what's to be expected. Of course, we have a cover there, I think for the DC Primer, if I remember. We move into the first one, being Titans at the forefront. And with some of the art, of course, I've covered my review for the first one. And I don't think the second issue review may have already gone up by the time this goes up. As we jump into the next thing, which is Shazam, which I really think should have been the forefront of this particular DC Connect with Mark Waid on the title. I must admit, I have really enjoyed where this story has been going through so far, and I'm looking forward to where it's going. Next, we jump into some Green Lantern, headed by Jeremy Adams, and I've heard that some people actually enjoy this. I'm planning on checking out his second issue of Night Terrors in Green Lantern. But I do admit, I do like the art that has been used in this. We, of course, move into the Batman Brave and the Bold, even though this is covering the first issue, and we'll be covering the second issue with the next DC Connect. And, of course, we've got one terrible name in this particular one, being Megan Fitzmartin. I believe her name does show up in the series. Of course, we move into Cyborg. Again, not on my list, but I've heard actually the story has improved on his character. And what they're doing to sort of like humanize his character more. Which is really interesting to see Cyborg actually wearing clothing instead of being seen in his metal form. And nice to sort of see that be expressed. As we move in the spirit world, this story has been a bit a pass and go, depending where you pick up in the story. There are some good things about it, as well as some negative. The Vigil, not on my radar, but I've heard people have been enjoying it. Now, I must admit, City Boy by Greg Pak, I have actually enjoyed, and I really like how the story has been set up and where it's starting to go. Moving into some more Batman. Of course, we move into some Power Girl, Nightwing, some Green Arrow. Superman, I must admit, has been quite interesting, and of course, we move into Action Comics, and also the adventures of John Kent, not Superman because he's not Superman. We also move into the Superboy Man of Tomorrow, which actually seems to be a 10 times better story than Tom Taylor. Scary, that ain't it? About the only thing I'm sort of getting out of this is the static Shadows of Dakota. We, of course, move into the Generation Joker, which I'm basically reading in the background. Not really interested in reviewing it. Sorry, just not interested in Peacemaker, but have a look at the nice art anyway. Suicide Squad, Kill Arkham Asylum, not interested. Moving into the DC Spotlight, we have the Sandman, we have Batman Joker, we also have Morpheus, of course, Terrible Tom King with Human Target, we've got Swamp Thing, and we've got more Suicide Squad. Finally, moving into the Batman vs. Robin Collected Edition, to which I'm getting both the hardcover as well as the soft. Of course, we have the other titles that are there, the Gilded City, the Knight, and last but not least, Punchline. Of course, moving into the Batman One Bad Day stuff, and about the only thing sort of there of interest would be the Batman Ra's al Ghul one, the DC Elseworld graphic novels for the younger audience. The only thing I'm getting here is the Robin softcover trade. Yeah, I will probably end up rereading it again on the channel. Of course, we move into some more collected editions. We've got the Camelot, and we've got the Crisis on Multiple Earths. Of course, we've got the Deceased box set and the Batman TMNT crossover omnibus, which I do happen to have right now as I give this talk on the DC Connect. Then we move into some of the other stuff. We've got the Batgirls finally moving to the end of it. Batman Adventures continues. Really good. I advise you read it. Batman Superman World's Finest on the list. Dark Knights are still not on my list. Apart from the rest, about the only other things that are there are the Detective Comics run. In this page, not really a lot here that's in my list, or in fact nothing at all. Of course, there's The Flash on my list, which has been really good to read through, especially with Jeremy Adams. He's really a good talent, and I'm really looking forward to picking up his Jay Garrick run, which has him and Judy Garrick. Of course, we've got the terrible Tim Drake series, to which the only reason I'd probably want to pick it up in softcover trade would be how not to write a story in regards to certain characters. As for the rest, there's nothing really of interest there. More collected editions, I don't think there's anything in there. About the only thing I probably would want to grab there would be the DC Mech, but I'll definitely wait until it's available in softcover trade. We cannot forget I Am Fake Man with Jace Fraudulent Fox. Someone kill off that character so he can get a new identity. Please, anybody. And of course, we've got the Flash Search for Barry Allen, which I will definitely be grabbing. As for the rest of the titles, oh yes, Young Justice Targets I did manage to get a hold of too. Now it's time to move into issue 35. To which in issue 35 we get a bit of a send-off from Jeremy Adams as he leaves The Flash and moves on to a different project. And of course we have Wonder Woman and the introduction of Trinity, who is basically Lizzo Findup. It's the only other way to put it. Jumping into what's inside, we get the Batman related stuff, and they slowly push things towards the Batman Gotham War. We of course have the introduction of the Penguin, Batman Brave and the Bold, and more Dawn of the DC with Poison Ivy. Moving into Nightwing, this was actually a pretty well set up issue. Seeing it through the eyes of Nightwing himself, then we move into Catwoman and Joker, to which none of those titles are in my list. Of course, we can't forget Superman and Action Comics, to which the best thing with the Action Comics run has been the Dan Jurgens stuff. And I've really been enjoying that. Man of Tomorrow being absolutely great. And then we've got the Adventures of John Kent. Yeah. Can't wait until this thing's over. And please don't let there be a second volume or season of it. We move into Steelworks, to which we get to see some more around John Henry Irons. Shazam, which has been really incredible, and also setting us up for the Night Terrors event in that particular issue at the end. Of course, more Green Lantern. Green Arrow and Doom Patrol, not in my list, glad they're not. About the only things that you see here that are in my list are Spirit World and City Boy, but definitely not the Vigil. Maybe I might consider picking up the Vigil in softcover trade. Of course, we have Titans issue 2 and more Cyborg. The Flash 800, which was really good, and out of this, I ended up picking up the special foil variant cover, and I really enjoyed Jeremy Adams' story in it. I also enjoyed the Mark Waid story in it, and that was pretty much about all. The Jeff Johns one, it could hit or miss. Wasn't really necessary, but it was definitely interesting to read through. And of course, Wonder Woman 800, to which in this I chose particular variants only, not the main one. About the only ones I chose was the special foil variant, also the Campbell variant, and the one that also shows the character of Trinity. Moving into DC Pride, to which most of it's pretty much been covered on the channel right now. And moving into DC Pride through the years, I actually quite enjoyed reading through that. Of course, we get to see the great end of the Tim Drake Terrible Robin run by Megan Fitzmartin. And more Annoying Peacemaker. More things brought to the spotlight in regards to the Sandman universe. None of them in my list, all except maybe Dead Boy Detectives. Riddler, not in my list. White Knight Presents Generation Joker, in my list, but not covering it on the channel. I must admit, I did enjoy the static team-up Anansi, as I also enjoyed reviewing it on the channel, or reviewing it for the channel. Of course, we move into the Lazarus Planet stuff, and what happens there. Monkey Prince, Volume 2. I am looking forward to when the whole thing comes out available in an omnibus, like a really big omnibus, and preferably hard or soft cover. I'm sorry to say this, but Chip and Ram V, none of your titles are being picked up by me, especially the hardcovers. Blue Beetle Graduation Day softcover, I'll definitely be grabbing that because I didn't mind reviewing it on the channel, and it was also interesting to see some more happen around Jaime Reyes. Wildcats though, not really in my list. Starting to move towards the end, we get to see the DC Icon series, which is for young readers, but take note that all of these are Elseworld stories. They're not in-canon stories. And of course, the end of Batgirls. The Adventures Continues. Great if you want to pick up, along with World's Finest. Detective Comics, yes, in my list. And of course, we move into some Superman Lost, not in my list. And not really interested in many of the other titles. Of course, we move into some of the best parts, being right here. And starting off with the first best part, and that is the Peter J. Tomasi Detective Comics Omnibus, which I will be collecting. As for the rest, we've got some Icon Rocket. Of course, we've got Wonder Girl. I might maybe consider picking that up later on. We'll see how things go. And before I finish off, I want to end off with a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to the channel as I slowly reach over 305 plus, slowly moving into 350. I wouldn't be able to do that without you. You are the best. And until then, let's keep it colorful and have yourself an awesome day.